Old son, chest up, shoulders back, spread the lats. JK, we don't say no corny ass shit like that on this fucking channel, boy. I started watching porn when I was 6 or 7 years old. Straight up, we gonna get into this shit. This is an affliction that has plagued me since I was young. It came with me since early age all the way till I was 18 years old. That was how long I did it on just zombie mode, not even thinking it was a negative thing. There's 3 plaguing addictions that I've had throughout my whole teenage years that I use as a coping mechanism for underachieving, that I've wanted to quit since I was 18. These are weed, alcohol, and pornography. All 3 of them have fucked me up. Weed was one of the easiest ones to quit, even though I did it from morning to night all throughout high school. Started that when I was 11 years old. That one was easy to quit. Just change my location and cut off my supply from it. Alcohol, this one was almost as hard as pornography, and I'm gonna make videos about them too. But today, we're talking about fucking prawn. I'm gonna use a buzzword so I don't get all fucked over on this website. What broke me free or made me realize the negative effects of it was this generation, this movement of self-improvement YouTubers during the pandemic, 2020. Remember that shit when you were locked in your house? That was what broke me free from it. I'd been a fat fuck my whole life. Started losing weight, lost over 100 pounds, and discovered this group of like-minded individuals trying to better themselves online. And it was kind of like the form of content was a lot different than all this Mr. Beast in-your-face shit. It's kind of like how I'm doing right now to you. Just talking straight up to the camera, being relatable. And a lot of the shit I'm gonna say in this video is very explicit and very personal in my life. But I don't give a fuck. I'm not afraid to say it to possibly millions of people, because that is the only way I'm gonna get my point across and be relatable to that other 15-year-old that was just like me. I'm trying to fucking help you here, and I might have some family members find this video, but fuck them. I don't give a shit if they see this or not. It is what it is. The first time I broke free of pornography, I was 18 years old, and I'd been on the red pill. I was digesting and watching all this red pill shit for months, and I had discovered Nofap. It's introduced to you as this fucking superpower thing at first, where you gain all these powers and women can fucking like smell the testosterone on you and shit like this. Just all these things that aren't generally true. And I'm like, holy shit, this makes so much sense. And I went on my first ever stint from abstaining from pornography and weed and alcohol. This first time I'd ever done it, it was over 2 years ago. I get to this is a 3-month chunk of just straight development, and one of the greatest chunks of development in my life, besides the past 6 months that I just experienced and am still experiencing now. So during this 3-month stint, I had spent the prior 4 months digesting every single red pill piece of content, from the top dogs to the people at the bottom with 1,000 subscribers telling you this is exactly what you do on Tinder. I crafted a Tinder profile and started running this fucking gauntlet of just learning and just developing as I went, until finally I hit a cue where the true effects of not beating your meat step in. See, Nofap, it doesn't give you a superpower. It doesn't give you some fucking physical pheromones. All it does is it's time allocation. It takes the time you're spending beating your fucking meat like a little monkey in a cage, and it changes that to, well, you're not doing that anymore, so you have to allocate something else in that space. And what did I allocate in that space? Chasing after women. And I go down this rabbit hole, and I'm in this culture for 3 whole months. I didn't talk to any of my friends. I was just dead set focused on meeting women off of Tinder, sleeping with them, and honestly, I would block most of them, because it was almost like I was still fapping through a woman. And that was my 3-month stint. I stopped doing that after an encounter I had where I met this bitch off Tinder, took her to a movie theater, and she started sucking my dick, and I started fingering her in the theater. And I was super excited, took her back to my Tahoe, and we started fucking in the back of the Tahoe, and it was literally felt like I was masturbating. It was less meaningful than even whenever I would fucking fap to porn and shit like that. It felt like I was just masturbating with a body. There was no connection, there was no anything. It was just like work almost that I had to get done. And that really broke me free of all that red pill bullshit. And it kind of spiraled me, because my whole existence at that point was chasing women and living this hedonistic lifestyle. And it broke everything up for me. I spiral back into bad habits. I start smoking weed again, start drinking again, and start doing and watching porn again. All with the predication of my brain coping and being like, well, these are just like tools. You're using these tools because you're trying to wait. It's just bullshit. Your brain, the human psyche is so complicated. The coping mechanisms and the justifications it comes up with to keep doing these habits are fucking unmatched. For a good 1.5 year period, I was doing a lot of things in my life right. Going to the gym every single day, working towards something. I had a good creative outlet and making friends and shit like that. But pornography stuck with me, but the pornography and the alcohol abuse stuck with me. And I would have like little stints of like a week or kind of a month, not even really a month, where I would get on the cycle and then I'd break the fucking cycle. And it was like this loop that I'd gotten myself in where I would justify, oh, well, I can still quit. And I haven't done it for 2 weeks, so if I do it one time today, then it's all right. I get right back on the shit. Just all, again, stupid justifications I would make for myself to do these bad, to fucking beat my meat like a fucking monkey in the zoo. There was literally no point in me doing that. I had done the work before to allocate time, but I went about it the whole wrong way. I went about it trying to replace masturbation with masturbating with a woman, which in all simple forms is just as meaningless if you have no human connection with a woman. The relationship between man and woman is a beautiful fucking thing, but a lot of men degrade that and they misconstrue it because they say, oh, it's all about fucking all these bitches, dude. Yeah, it's fun. It can be fun. I had a lot of fun in the beginning, but one bad apple fucked me up and made me reconsider all these things in my mind. So, what led me to finally cutting out pornography? About 4 months ago, I started making these videos. That's right, I've only cut it out for 4 whole months. And what made me cut it out, the old saying, practice what you preach. At the time I was making all these videos, I've been making videos now for about 10 straight months. Not consistently. I've only been consistent for about a 3-month period. But for the past 4 months, it took a whole month of me thinking about practice what you preach to actually quit it. I'd make these videos and it wouldn't be genuine. I'd go and I'd fucking beat my meat and I'd be like, what are you fucking doing, dog? You sitting here preaching all this shit to young men to be better and what is your justification? My justification was I'd gotten a car crash. I moved like 2 hours away from where I lived, all the people I knew, all my social network, if you will. And I didn't really know nobody in this town at the point. So I fucked up and created this justification in my brain of using pornography as a tool. I had this thought of, I have so much testosterone, all my work is physical and shit like that, I need some sort of release. And if I start going out and meeting women again, it's going to take all my time away from doing these videos, my job of being a general contractor, yada yada. And that was my justification of porn is a quicker form and quicker way of all this shit, and just stupid bullshit. We all know the negative effects of it on your brain, your dopamine, and everything like that. And I use this justification. I still am at a loss of words to how I came up with this justification. It really is, like I said, crazy how the human psyche works. But it all comes back down to the only way I was able to quit from that month stint and haven't done it in 3 months is time allocation. I think about my time. If I cut it out, I'm going to need to replace it with something. Something that stimulates my brain the same way. Now, the thing I chose to do besides these videos, because these videos don't take 8 hours. I spend a lot of time on them making clips and shit like that. But there's other avenues that I need to do. So I practice on my fucking artistic routes. I have art creative outlets again, like oil painting. You might be able to see them on the wall. Or playing guitar. I just use creative outlets to fill the void of time of beating my fucking meat like a little monkey. So, let's get real down to the meat and potatoes. I told you about that, about how sometimes if you chase women meaninglessly, you can fall down the trap of just hedonistic bullshit. And like that experience I had in the movie theater, it was real easy. It should have been a real fun time. But I'm just sitting there fucking this girl. And in my head the whole time, I'm like, what is wrong with you? Why? What is the point of all of this shit? I'm sitting there just eating at myself while pumping, and I'm just like, what the fuck? I wasn't even thinking about the bitch I had my dick in. I mean, that was the last thought in my mind. I'm literally just all thinking about what the fuck am I doing in my life right at that point. And I had a bigger epiphany with pornography about 9 months ago. I didn't live where I was at now. I just started making these videos, and this is going to be a little bit of a longer story. It involves meth. It gets pretty deep. But as I said in the beginning of the video, one of my stronger addictions was weed. I'll make some videos about how to quit that in the future, but I always loved weed. And at this time, I was super depressed. I was working at Subway. I was listening to fucking Sneeko and Andrew Tate's Come Up podcast in my earbud at work. And the only positive thing I was doing in my life was going to the gym. I made a couple entertainment YouTube videos that didn't pop off, and I immediately got discouraged by getting like fucking 5 views a video and stopped doing it. So I fall back into this rabbit hole. I text my old friend and we start playing video games. Video games is another crutch that I didn't mention in the thing that I had played since I was a little kid, ruined relationships because I was so addicted to it. I don't play a single video game now. I just don't have the time for it. I have a lot of melancholy feeling towards video games, nostalgia and whatnot, but I just choose not to play them at all. I have other things I'd rather spend my time on. But I start playing video games. This is a whole month stint. Playing video games, watching porn, and drinking alcohol. I didn't have weed, so what I would do is I'd take a green glass that was like that big around, that tall. Put 8 shots of vodka. I went through like fucking 7 handles of alcohol within a 2-month stint. And I'd fill it up with water and suck it down a big thick straw as fast as possible to get as drunk as possible. And I would do that in the evenings to cope. But during the daytime, whenever I wasn't working, I was only working at Subway 2 days a week. Just straight fucking loser shit. And I was playing these video games, and I remember 3 years ago, me and my friend that was on Snapchat, back whenever you use Snapchat to get plugs and weed and shit like that, there's this guy named Don C. Now, Don C was like a decrepit old man. He looked like Otto Hightower from the fucking, what is that movie? The Dragon movie? Or the Dragon TV show linked to Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. He looked just like Otto Hightower, the fucking decrepit look and everything, except for he was like 22, 24 years old. So there's like this whole lore between me and my whole friend group about Don C and shit like that. He got robbed like fucking 10 times in 3 days. He was like homeless, just crazy shit. And he's like posting to buy weed from him. And we thought it'd be a fun novelty experience to buy like half an ounce of weed from Don C. He comes to my house. My friend goes outside where I lived, picked up the weed. It was in like little cocaine bags and shit. Normally they just put it in a Ziploc bag. But we get this shit. We look at it. Now keep in mind, this is like 4 or 5 years ago when I was still in high school. It had little crystals in the bag of weed. It was fucking meth. It somehow, you know the old saying, no one's going to give you free drugs, you don't get laced or anything like that. Literally had like meth crystals in the weed. And we didn't smoke any of it, and half of me didn't believe it was meth. I'd put this into like an old memento box, like how people keep all their good memories and shit in a memento box. I had all these things from my childhood in that little bag of weed and a gram and a half of mushrooms. That was what I had in this memento box. Playing this video game, and I remember the memento box. I remember the weed. I had fallen back into all these bad habits at this time. Keep in mind, this was 9 months ago. I'd already been on self-improvement for over a year at this time, but I was just fucking retarded, I guess. Go grab this weed. I go out and I smoke a bowl of it on my front porch, and I get high for the first time. I ain't smoked weed at this point in like 8 months. I get super fucking high, and I'm just like, oh, this is a fun time. I'd remember the weed part, I'd remember the meth in it, but it was just, I was kind of fiending. So that goes on. I finish playing the game and whatnot, and I stay up all night. Didn't think much of it, and then the next day I realized, oh man, I'm kind of jittery. That was kind of weird. Then the next day comes. I didn't play video games with my friend that night, but I had like half a gram of this meth weed left. I knew it was meth at this point because of the way I got jitters. It was just real weird, the feeling of it. The feeling of it was real weird, and I had done meth and pills before. I have a really degenerate teenage years. And I had this plan to watch like movies all night long after smoking this meth weed. Now, it is meth weed, like half and half, or not half and half, but it's got meth sprinkled into it. So the effects of the weed were a little bit stronger than the actual meth itself. So I thought, all right, I'm going to get real high and have a fun time. I light some candles in my room. I'm about to watch these movies and I go in my room. Now, back to the porn. I've kind of derailed from pornography. But at this time, the thing that brought me back to pornography was I haven't watched Pornhub videos in over 2 years. Whenever I was on that fucking self-improvement shit, I didn't watch porn video, like Pornhub or any man fucking a woman or any porn like that. I had come, like I said, back to the part with your brain doing weird shit. I had this belief that if I scrolled TikTok, found a hot model, and then went to her Twitter, that it was like free fucking game and I could just beat off to it and it wasn't bad like Pornhub. Just stupid. Saying it out loud now is fucking retarded. It's very stupid. But at this time, this is what I was doing. And I laid down in this bed. It was probably about 9 o'clock at night. Candles are going. I don't have anything on the TV. And I'm like, you know what? I should probably beat my meat real quick before I start watching these movies. I beat my meat while scrolling TikTok, finding a model, going to their Twitter, jerking off to it, repeating the process over and over because I was high on meth. I did that all night long. And I'm going to make this story even graver and even worse. I had my phone like tethered to my TV. So I was watching it through the TV. Like, saying this shit now, you would think I was like a fucking, like the ultimate crazy weirdo. And I really was. Now that I think about it. I did this. I remember looking to my left because I had a window and seeing light outside of it. And I look down and I'm still fapping. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning. 12 hours. My meat is just raw, everything. This is some shit that most motherfuckers would be like, Batman couldn't get that out of me, dude. Batman couldn't even get that out of me. Real shit. From 8 o'clock at night till 7 in the morning. It's crazy. I remember doing that. That event alone caused me not to beat my meat for like 2 weeks straight, which now that's not a lot. I should have kept on going with it, but I was fucking a pussy at the time. I fell straight back into bad habits. I wouldn't make a consistent video because, I don't have the motivation to do it. I don't have the spark, the creativity. I was weak-minded. Now, I don't give a fuck. I am confident. I speak with my chest, and I have a great sense of mental health, better than I've ever had before in my life. But looking back at these times, I have to share these moments because I know there's other men out there that are in that moment that I was in that depravity. And I know there's also men that are on the cusp of it. And I have to be real and share things that might make me look bad just so I can help these people. Back then, whenever I was making videos, they were all entertainment based. I went to a college campus and dressed up as Andrew Tate. I had no value or morals. I just wanted to make a bunch of money. Now I am truly inspired to fucking help men. And the only way I can do it is through sharing these stories. But a good message a good message I want to get on in this video is how equal that moment in the movie theater when I'm fucking that bitch in the back of my Tahoe and I feel nothing. I'm like Patrick Bateman. I'm straight numb. In that moment when I'm beating my meat with candles for 12 hours straight on meth, they're both depraved. I ruined that young girl's like whole existence for like 2 months because I fucked her. She was clinging on to me. She wanted to go and do shit. She was texting me for 3 days later and I blocked her. Same thing with that. I mean, that is me physically hurting someone else. Something that I should never attempt to do. Never should do on purpose. And I did it. And if I probably won't ever see that girl again. I probably won't ever talk to her again. But if this message somehow ever found her, I'm sorry to you. Just like I'm sorry to my past self. The self that found self-improvement at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021, and had to sit there and just slowly go back into depravity over a year and a half. And I'm finally on the other end of that, finally through the storm, with some insight that I'd like to give to other people. It's kind of crazy though, because of how bad and down bad I was. This shit is so ingrained in our culture. I've only been strict on not beating my meat for 4 fucking months, which is not that long. I was still making all these coping mechanisms 4 months ago when I was making these videos. I was practicing depravity while I was making these videos trying to educate young men. That is not practicing what I preach. And a lot of my coping mechanisms was the same ones. I thought because I was using Tinder, or I thought because I was using fucking TikTok and then going to their Twitter, and it wasn't Pornhub, it wasn't bad. It's so ingrained in our society that I was just fucking... It's not that bad. It's actually healthy of a male release to not build up all that tension. Just horse shit things that were allowing me to justify my bullshit actions. And I finally took accountability, stopped being a fucking bitch, and now I'm actually happier than I've ever been. I'm proud of myself. I have a sense of confidence that I don't think can ever be broken. It feels that strong. I rarely walk with like this. I always walk with my chest up high, even whenever my back starts fucking hurting. Now, I'm gonna end this last couple minutes of this video with, again, ways to quit, benefits of quitting, and how to avoid triggers. Now, see, for me, I had this cycle 4 months ago. I was working construction. General contractor. I build houses. I have a mentor. He teaches me everything. He's shown me things on $7 million homes all the way up to $22 million homes. This is my real life career that I work towards. I would come home from work from this, and I would get on TikTok, and it was a perpetual cycle. I'm not on TikTok for a laugh. I'm not on TikTok for a meme. I'm scrolling. I know what I'm scrolling for. In my brain, I'm saying I'm just there for a laugh, but I'm scrolling till I found a fucking woman that I found really hot, hoping to God she had a Twitter linked in her thing, in her fucking thing. And if she didn't, I'd go to like one of these forum websites where you had to make a login and shit, make a fake email and fake login, just so I could see her nudes and beat off to it. That was a perpetual cycle I was stuck in 4 months ago. I did this over and over, created all these justifications for it. And my fucking trigger, my trigger was to go on TikTok. To go on fucking TikTok and just scroll. See, this is my fucking shit now. I talk about it, I preach what I talk about so much that David Goggins and motivational people like him are some of the only things I fucking see. And now I actually don't even hardly scroll on fucking TikTok. Every once in a while I'll catch myself doing a couple things. But you know what? I'm going to make this video a promise to myself. I'm going full dopamine detox from now on a lot of this shit. Going full producer mode. Fuck all the consuming bullshit. I hope you do the same. I ramble a lot in these videos. I'm half retarded, got ADHD. But I covered the triggers. Now let's actually cover the true reason, which I mentioned earlier in this video, which is you're not going to fly. You're not going to gain all this exuberance and confidence. That comes from self-identity. That comes from actually practicing what you preach. You can have a little bit of it for being like, the only confidence you'll gain from Nofap is through you telling yourself, you know what, I'm not going to fap, and actually accomplishing and actually making a promise to yourself come true for the first time. And that goes towards your identity. Ramble. But the actual reason, like I've already said it, is time allocation. You take this chunk of time. I was usually spending an hour on this shit every time I would do it. Taking that out, and you have to fill that time slot with something else, or you'll fall back into the habit. That's why people relapse, is because they try to cold turkey completely quit from it without thinking of something that they're going to implement in that time slot in their day. See, you take an hour chunk of your day and you just replace it with, you're still going to scroll on fucking TikTok? Well, there you go. You're still going to get the triggers of hot women going to their fucking Twitter, beating your meat. That's a cycle that will keep going. If you're at this point in your life where you're doing this all the time, you don't have the mental fortitude to fight off the forces trying to make you beat your meat. So you must completely remove all of the triggers and all of the time that you spend doing that and replace it with something. Read a fucking book. Make a video and synthesize ideas from people you see like me or other YouTubers. Do something productive. Go outside and work out. Something. You have to fill that time slot back in, and you can't repeat the triggers or go on the websites that trigger you. If you go on Twitter and you see tits and it makes you want to beat your meat, delete fucking Twitter. Titter, that's what I'll call it, fucking titter. Delete that shit. That's the only way you're gonna do this. Now, I've rambled on. This video is like fucking 26 minutes long. It's long enough. There's no really other point for me to make besides my next couple videos. I'm gonna make one about how to quit weed, how to quit alcohol, how to quit a video game addiction, and then I'm gonna be done for a while on video on addictions and shit like that. We're gonna go more into bettering ourselves. Teach you how to work out, teach you how to build social skills, go back into these things that are core beliefs. Quitting addictions really is easy. It really is easy. People make all these things and AA programs and shit. It really just comes down to being confident and fluid in your own mind. To not fucking just fall victim to, oh, my brain's telling me to beat my meat right now. You have hands. You can use your brain to command your hands to not go to TikTok, to not go to Pornhub, to not go to Twitter. The power is in you. Chase paper and enjoy nature, and have a great day, old son.